Sup guys, it's desRow. We're back today with Remax episode 2. There's a lot to talk about today despite not many offline events. There's been a lot of Korean qualifiers, and with me here today we have Feedme, HuK, and uThermal. So Feedme, how you doing? I know you've been casting a lot of Redbull and you've been doing fairly well for yourself too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah?
You go just camera, please.
So, oh yeah, your camera. Here you go. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll fix on it. But yeah, how has been your experience casting Red Bull and everything?
It was more me just observing and talking over the games. It wasn't casting, so it was quite fun.
Was it your first experience casting?
Yep.
Okay. And HuK, I know we met each other last weekend. You won the Toronto tournament, beating Masa, almost losing to Angelus, almost losing to a few Zergs. How have you been doing?
Almost losing to the Zerg you lost to, like Samuel, and no regret. Is that what you mean? Yeah, I'm fine. It was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't travel too often for local events in Toronto and Canada, right?
Yeah, I thought like, why not? It'll be pretty easy money. So.
And now that you live in New York, it's like a 1 hour and a half flight, so it's not so bad, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. And we have uThermal, or Terran guest. Really excited to hear what he has to say. You play in a week for WCS EU versus TLO, LiveZerg, and Welmu. How are you doing, and how are you feeling about your group?
Actually, practice hasn't been going that well, so I'm not so sure, but I mean, Premier Round 32 is okay for me. I'll do my best, but I can't like guarantee I'll advance.
If you make it to a run of 16, would it be your first time on sort of a big stage? Because I know you go to offline events, but have you ever been on a big stage or in front of a big crowd?
Well, usually just in like Dutch events, so not really a big stage.
Okay.
Like I've played in Remax and ESWC, IEM, but never really on the stage. So.
Okay, that's cool. So we have two parts of the show. The first part will be more about Korea, Flash, and GSL, Pro League, all that sort of stuff. The second part will be more about Red Bull and then strategy talk. I know some of you guys, want to know what's up with TvP, and also a discussion about WCS and the point system. So the first topic of today is the IEM Toronto Asia qualifier. I'm going to bring this up on the screen in just a second. So the big story is Flash doing extremely well for himself, repping Terran. And who else qualified? Yeah, it was Flash and Zest qualifying. Did you guys see some of the games? Which player, is there any VODs you guys copied? uThermal, HuK?
I watched. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
uThermal.
Okay.
Alright, HuK, go for it.
Way to be, host. Yeah, I watched a lot of the VODs. I thought Pig Baby was like not that strong looking at all. I don't know if you guys saw the final games between him and Flash, but it looked like a complete fucking joke. I don't know if he's just really strong PvP and he used to be strong PvT and now he's weak, but it looked like embarrassingly bad. And then Zest was pretty dominant, and of course Flash played really well. So overall, it was like really good games, but those were the biggest things that surprised me.
uThermal, did you catch the Korean-Taiwan qualifier? Because there was a lot of TVTs with Flash beating Maru and beating Gumiho and so on. Or you only watched the final one?
Well, I haven't actually watched the games from the Korean qualifier, but I did see some from the Asian one.
Oh, okay.
I think Flash TvP was the most impressive. Like he beat Su and Sorry, and Sorry is like a good Terran, but like the Protoss he beat was like Zest Classic Hero, and then Pig Baby, like not the strongest Protoss, but like TvP is so impressive.
Yeah, he just totally destroys Protoss players right now.
Yeah. What is he doing that's so special?
I'm not sure actually. Like against Classic, I can't actually remember the games. I think Classic played some Phoenix Colossus, and I'm actually not a big fan of Phoenix Colossus myself. Like even when I play against Koreans that do it, it's so much easier. to play against and like normal styles. Like, I don't think it's good at all. So it's hard to say about the games.
Do you try to do timing, or you play more defensive?
Well, you can do both. Like, most Terrans fail because they don't know the solution. Because they like start making Vikings from the start, you know. But I just like, because the first Vikings are not useful at all, right? So I just make medevacts first. Put some pressure, don't drop because you're just gonna lose them, and then mass up Vikings, and you can hit such strong timings.
Yeah, I've had a few people, sorry to interrupt, that recommend the Go Phoenix Colossus to me too, and I just feel like Protoss is always, well, I don't want to get too much into balance talk, but like I don't like the style because you're even more defensive and you like even more can't move out on the map until you're like maxed, and it's just like telegraphing to the Terran like you can just, you know, upgrade as much as you want. You can like, you know, tech up, expand, do whatever, because I'm basically gonna sit here until I get 200.
Yeah,
I think it's good to have like in a best of series to have a build like this. Like maybe just throw it out sometime. It's not like always just a standard.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Flash not dropping a series except versus Zest. And Zest making it, you know, because last season he didn't do so well in GSL, but now making it to Toronto. Toronto is going to be a very stacked tournament. We'll focus on Toronto more next week, but the IEM qualifiers, if you want to go back and watch the VODs on Base Trade TV or the IEM, the ESL stream, there's a lot of great VODs from that, especially if you're a Terran fan. The next topic is Kespa Cup. Kespa Cup, there's a lot of HuK didn't get so lucky, trying to tweet at Kespa and so on. But we can talk about the format, and then we'll talk about the qualifiers and the results. So the format is WCS EU and NA both get 2 slots, so the runner-up and the winner. So we have Pig Baby and Bomber. And then for WCS EU, we have Sun and Stardust. The same thing goes for GSL, and the top 2 Pro League players, SOS and Hero, also have a seed. And then from the qualifiers, we have Super, Flash, Rain, Reality, Zest, Sorry, Buell, Rogue. So it's really stacked. I mean, if you remove maybe Stardust and maybe Pig Baby on Rumber, you have a really stacked tournament. What do you guys think of the tournament, and what do you guys think of WCS, NA, and EU getting slots?
That's what I was going to bring up. Like HuK's tweets, he had like kind of a point that Europe and NA don't have like their own qualifiers or whatever. But and then he goes and says, oh, they want the best of the players like in the world, whatever. And then they go and invite the winners of WCS Europe and America. It makes no sense. Really. So they kind of contradict themselves.
Yeah.
I also think because so like the legit qualified players are pretty good. I would say like the weaker ones would be like Reality, Sorry, and Super. But like no one can argue with like Rain's S, Flash, Buell, Rogue. They're like all really strong players. The other guys that qualified probably had easier brackets or whatever. But also the fact that they take it from WCS, but it's like WCS like the last season, which was like a while ago. So it's not like StarCraft 2 changes pretty quickly as far as like who's considered really good and who's not as good. So even though I think Pig Baby and Bomber, Sun and Stardust are like strong candidates, it's not like the best reflection of who I would say is the best right now. Like I think anybody would look at WCS America and say like for sure Tage is probably the strongest player there. But he's obviously not going to be playing in this now because he didn't do good in WCS America last season, which was a while ago, and I think the same could be possibly said for Europe. So I obviously thought they were doing like an NA EU qualifier, and then when I found out they weren't, I was kind of like surprised and disappointed, and I tweeted as much. I still think it's going to be like an insanely good tournament. I think probably WCS, NA, and EU are going to get smashed, but overall it'll be pretty good. And like even Classic kind of slumping now. And Sue, like second place. I mean, he's still a really good player, but he's not as good as he was last GSL season when we saw that final. So I just think at any time when a tournament has those kind of qualifications and it's based on results that were a while ago, it's not so great.
What's your take on it? Yeah, uThermal, go ahead.
I think you could give Sue some more credit because after the first season, he got second. People were like, You know, they pay attention to Deer, not to Su, not giving him any credit, and then he got second again. And people were like, alright, he's good, but not like, you know, the best. And then he kept getting better. And now even though he didn't perform that well in Pro League and stuff, he still crushed this round of 32 group. Like, I think Su is still the best Zerg in the world, so I think it's no problem he's there. And also reality, like, the people he beat to qualify are pretty impressive. Like, he beat True 2-0, and True is like really good. And then he beat Cure, who is like has so much momentum right now, and Crank, who beat Keen the match before that. So I think
he's been
reality
playing really
and
well
Su-
in but he's been playing really well in the qualifiers for Red Bull as well. So just so reality gets some credit.
Well, I guess we'll get back to the rise of Terran later, but you know, reality doing well. But to go back to what you were saying about you know, ending out invites to the top 2 of each tournament, what would you have preferred? Just like full-on qualifiers?
Well, like, obviously I'm biased. If I got top 2 in WCS, I'd be ecstatic about the way they're doing it. But it's not even that. I didn't even have like a huge problem with the WCS thing. It just sucks because it's based on the fact that it was so long ago. Like the tournament's in like a month or so, the Kespa Cup, I don't know. And if they had like, let's say WCS ended in like 2 or 3 weeks and then they did the top 2 for that would make more sense to me. I was just more disappointed that for some reason I was always under the impression that they were gonna have NA and EU qualifiers and then they didn't. But like I said, there's insanely good players anyway, so it's going to be a really cool tournament. Just, yeah. I don't like any tournament that is going to host a qualifier way before the tournament's going to actually happen.
One thing that I personally think tournaments are like getting boring with is like, instead of giving 2 slots to EU and NA, why not bring them to Korea, or like most of them are already in Korea, and make them play like, you know, like a day 0 event where you make the top 4 play for a final slot. Since it was so long ago, you know, and then you get some matches out of that. I feel like tournaments, even though like Starcraft is not as big as it used to be, they don't take any risks in terms of a format, you know. I think the last tournament that took a risk was like Red Bull with the lives and you knocking down players. But if you have like 4 players battling for 1 slot, it's sort of like, it's like a pre-show and it gets people hyped and stuff.
But at the same time, for like the players, it kind of sucks if you're flying all the way. Like, let's say I don't know how qualified for this 4 slot thing, and I gotta fly from New York to Korea to possibly get the chance to play, and then I lose the first day and my flight doesn't go back for like 5 days later when the tournament ends. Like, I'm gonna be pretty unhappy sitting there doing nothing for 5 days.
It's a 80K tournament though, 30K to first place.
Yeah, true. I mean, most tournaments I would say can't do it financially. Just because this tournament's bigger, I'm saying like maybe that would be possible just because they're investing so much money already. But still, for like the players, it would not be fun. Like, I think the only tournament that did that specific situation was BlizzCon last year, and it was because Nano and Revival tied. And that made sense because it was really big. You know, it just I don't know. I think it's kind of stretching it. Really reaching.
Any final thoughts on Kespa Cup, uThermal, Will?
uThermal.
Not really. I'm a bit disappointed actually because I was a pretty big fan of you know, the Blizz Cup and the Hot 6 Cup.
Yeah.
But I'm not as excited as the lineup now.
Really?
Like we have, because we have like I love Bomber and Flash, and then you have Reality, and Sorry is like kind of you know, the new Terran, like he could do well, but overall I'm not too interested, especially in the Protosses. Like I love CJ Hero and Rain, but besides that, and Zest of course, but besides this I'm not really interested in the players, so I'm a bit disappointed in the lineup.
Yeah, not a lot of Zergs as well.
I think they should have just dropped the whole WCS invites and somehow got an innovation, Maru, Sulky, into this tournament. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like they should have almost invited like the top 10 performers in Pro League almost to like their own qualifier, because to have bracket luck, you look at the brackets, you look at Sorry's run. Where is he?
He had a pretty easy bracket
And,
actually.
He gets Alicia, Nado, who I have no idea. Journey, he's good, but he's not that good. And then Departure, seriously, Departure went like 0-7 in Pro League.
Yeah.
and then
Pretty lucky run.
But you get Life and Rain in the finals. You get Sulky and Flash in the finals.
I'm thinking maybe Kespa rigged that for Jaedong and was like really hoping, okay, Jaedong, we're setting this up for you, like you get like we're giving you like this easy Terran, some ZVZs and shit, like, and then you gotta play this guy Sorry in the finals, maybe just like come on, do it, man, and then didn't work out, and they're like, okay, well,
maybe should have had a losers bracket as well.
Yeah.
Even then.
Yeah, there's a lot of great players that finish in the finals, like Solar losing 1-2 to Rogue.
Yeah.
Partying losing 1-2 to Zest, and this morning I was watching Life versus Rain and some sick games, and then Life not making it out, you know, beating Byung, and yeah, it's a stacked tournament. It's just like qualifying for Code A for GSL. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, Code A has the losers bracket now, though. So.
Yeah, that's true. So the next topic, which you know goes with Kespa Cup and goes with IEM Toronto qualifier, is Flash. The the savior of Starcraft. So Flash doing really well lately, coming back. You know, he said about 2 years ago that it would take him 2 years to get used to Starcraft 2. Now, as this time come, is this, you know, just a one-time thing? Here you can see his Eligulac graph. He's at his peak, almost at 2,000 points. But in his last match, or in his last few matches, he's 20-3 in series, and only losing to Zest, and then losing a best of one versus Muru, and losing versus Action, which is one of his teammates, and that's since July. So, you know, beating Myonsik, Shine, Symbol, SOS, Parting, Gumio, Deer, Muru, you know, go, and it always goes on, and he's doing a lot better, and I think someone like Flash is what we need. You know, last year we had Jaedong, got the people hyped. Now if we can just get Flash over to Europe or in America, that'd be great, and we'll have him in Toronto. But what's your take on Flash, HuK? What do you think of him and how he's been doing better lately?
I definitely, well, like, he's obviously a good player and he's getting better and he's getting more in his comfort zone, I guess, of what he wants to do playstyle wise. I think for a while he was kind of questioning whether he should switch to Protoss, or I don't know. He was just focused on more of the balance and whatever, but now I feel like he's definitely in his comfort zone and he's comfortable playing top tier players and taking games off them. And I think once you gain that confidence, you kind of just keep going with it, you keep practicing, and you start doing better and better. So he's definitely getting better, and I mean it's good for the Starcraft scene for sure as well. So I don't know, I'm happy about it.
Yeah. I remember in one of the Pro League interviews when he was, I think he dropped the game to Parting back in June or maybe May, he said like, I played 60 games to prepare for this match and I ended up losing, but you know, as long as he has the fire, like someone like Flash will always rise above. You know, he's one of the people that claim that, you know, talent is not a thing and hard work is always, you know, better. And what do you think, Will, of his recent success?
I think it helps with the whole like Pro League finals just ending. So they've all like, you can see all the KT players in the recent qualifiers destroying, like even Ty and like obviously Zest qualified. So I think that obviously helped his TvP quite a bit. You can see like he knows exactly what he's doing every time.
uThermal, have you copied anything from Flash? Is he an inspiration to you?
Well, I usually just like try to make my own builds, but I've watched some replays and it's very interesting. Yeah. I think Flash right now is it's like the perfect moment for him because like Pro League is like the big thing in Korea, right? So he's just like practiced really hard. Terran just got buffed as well. And like everything is just falling into place for him. I think if he would do well in GSL, it would be now.
Yeah. One thing that I watched from I think it was versus Zest, is, you know, back in Wings of Liberty, how Terrans would use to like throw a curveball and send like 5 Marines to crawl around the map and just like kill a few probes when the Protoss is out of his base.
Oh, he did this against Parting in Pro League.
Yes. Yeah, that was that game. I think like things like this is really great, and it kind of sucks that like Flash has to be the one doing it, you know, because we have a lot of Terrans complaining for a while and then they never try anything new, and I think it's really cool that he's doing little things like this to get an edge, because it's definitely good, especially now that the maps are a little bit more wide, and also when you get new maps it's easier to do, because for Protoss it's really hard to cover every angle. The next topic we have is I forgot to change the topic on the stream. Okay, anyway, Pro League opening up to the world, sending in invitations to EU and NA teams to come and compete in Pro League. It kind of makes sense after I think IEM dying and Prime and MVP shrinking, and because IEM was partnered with Startel, right? So now Startel maybe not big enough to be one of the teams in Pro League. Maybe they're gonna partner with someone else. So, well, what do you think of Kespa opening it up to the world?
I think it's them pandering to foreigner viewers, but I think this season's been good enough for them to continue what they've been doing into next season. I just don't think they really need a foreign team, like of foreigners. Maybe like a innovation style built team around him or something, but I don't really see the need for it at all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the quality of the games were already pretty good. Like, I don't think they need. Okay, so here's the thing. I think we need Jaedong and Innovation back in Pro League for the sake of Korean viewers. And I think the foreign fans are already interested in Pro League, that it doesn't really matter if we have a foreign team. What do you think, Chris? HuK?
Well, if they take like a really sloppily done team, like the worst case scenario here is that they do it and then it's like just like the shittiest thing ever. You have like some random scrub team that tries to like relive the GOM house glory days, and they don't like have their shit together, and they're all just fucking around like eating barbecue and I don't know, partying and whatnot.
I wonder who would do that.
Yeah, it would be horrible. And like that would be the worst case, because then you're just gonna have like a bunch of shitty foreigners getting destroyed, and it's gonna be like depressing and sad. The best case and the most realistic way is it's gonna be like Oxium Acer, and then you're gonna have random players that decide to go over. Like, I think that would be doable if they just, you know, approached Total Biscuit, I guess, to some degree, and the Acer guys, and said like, okay, we'll give you this amount of money and we want you to like open your house, get a bigger house, open it up to like 4 or 5 foreign players that aren't yours at a time, and then basically we'll give you a spot in Pro League, and you guys can just add these players as long as you give us like a month warning or something. And then you'll have, because there's a lot of foreigners that I think would be willing to go given the right situation and the right house with like the proper care. But I personally, like, I would never consider going unless I knew it was like to like a stable house or something. And I think a lot of foreigners that have already been to Korea would say the same thing. I know sort of, even though he probably wouldn't be at the top of my list, said the same thing. Like, he wouldn't want to go back to Korea unless it was under the right circumstances. So I think that would be the best shot that we have at success of doing anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think because you have like Yo Flash Wolf trying to partner with, was it Prime, with Linux? Then you have Axiom, then you have Acer, then you have EG with Jaedong. I think like a mix of those would be good, because there wouldn't be too many foreigners.
The thing is, with these teams who like partner up, it's always really inconsistent with the players you see. Like, one week you won't see Linux. I think we barely saw Linux play in Pro League.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't feel like a proper team. Like, maybe if they had some like sick looking badges or some shit, I don't know. But I just don't like these teams who partner up and then just throw random players.
Yeah, but if you look at 2013, like you had Alive, you had Revival, you had Jaedong, like get really great results off of all the Pro League practice. Maybe you can argue that Pro League wasn't a factor, but they're doing a lot more worse this year than last year.
Yeah, but I think TL was like a pretty, TLEG was a pretty good example, even though we didn't do as well as what people expected us to do. But it was like, I think Will's more talking about like the general image of the team. You don't want to come off like really sloppy, shitty looking, where like one guy plays 1 week and then it's just like AFK in Korea for 3 months doing nothing.
Because Lenok will like be traveling back and forth and shit, like doing events. So you wouldn't have him 1 week. That's what I mean. I don't want like a scraggly team. I want people dedicated to PROLEAGUE.
Yeah, he played 1 game with Prime.
Yeah, 1 game.
Yeah.
But it's like Team Liquid. Like it would only be possible if Teja would be like every game. Like as for Koreans go, you have like Hero, and he's like by far not solid enough to get enough wins. I don't think if you have like foreign Koreans, so to say, it won't make PROLEAGUE more interesting because they're not gonna win. Like IEM Asia is not gonna win PROLEAGUE, and PROLEAGUE is already interesting for foreign fans. I think it will only make it more interesting if you have like the top foreigners like Snoot, etc.
Well, I'm gonna defend Oxium a little bit. I would say looking at Oxium face value, I agree that they're not as strong as PROLEAGUE teams by any chance, but I would think they would do a little bit better just because they've been doing really well in Team Links for a really long time. They've always been like that sleeper team that does well in team leagues, even though when you look at the core base of their players, you're like, I mean, they're okay, but they've always done like GSL, Acer Cup, whatever other online team leagues, they've always done really well. And I think like Total Biscuit, as much as some people don't like him, he's like the one guy that would be passionate enough to like say, okay, I want to like do this and I want to do it legitimate, and he's very professional, and he would like crack the whip, you know, and say like, this is the way if we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be like blah 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 blah.
I don't know. I think their win in GSTL, it wasn't a fluke, but it was like a graveyard league. And I think without MMA and innovation, if they only do Axiom...
Yeah, they would have to have some Ace players.
Well, obviously we're talking of like a combined team, not just Oxium. But I'm saying it would be the right team to manage it.
Yeah, I agree. But for now, they don't have a PROLEAGUE schedule, so I think they would get shredded for a little while. A little bit like what Prime got. You know, they'd be riding the Prime spot, like at the bottom of the league. But then they could rise above you. They have the players, they have the talent. Alicia used to be really good. Hart still good. Impact as well. And Krang's doing better than he used to do. Like in qualifiers, he's coming close to achieving stuff. We have GSL. Last week we had 3 groups: Group D, Group E, Group F. A lot of Protosses. No, actually it's F and F. 3 Protoss and 3 Zergs advancing. Stat Soul Key over Byung Terminator. Rain Zest over Rogue Hurricane. And Sue Donrigo over Trust and Stork. Any games that stood out to you, HuK, that you really enjoyed to watch?
I honestly don't remember most of these games.
Yeah.
They seem so long ago. I would say it's kind of surprising that Byung didn't make it out.
Yeah.
I think that was the most surprising result.
Yeah, Stats coming out in first place, that's most surprising.
Yeah. I think Stats could have made it out, but I didn't expect first place. I think Sulky and Byung were the strong favorites there. But like Sulky's kind of one of the weird guys, just because you're basing his skill on the results he's had for like the last consistent year. Where like he's been a good player, but he hasn't been like scary good, I think, for a little bit. But I'm glad also to see Dongregu doing really well lately, because I know there were some wavering moments where he was considering maybe retiring or moving on or something, and he hasn't been consistently good since like the MLG Marine King Prime versus Dongregu every single fucking tournament days. So
did you happen to catch any of the Byung games, uThermal?
Yeah, I watched pretty much all of that group. Okay. First of all, I was really disappointed in Sulk, because like Stats 2-0'd him, but I think it was more like Sulky not playing well. Like first he got a build order loss with a 6 pull. It's like okay, it's a risk, and he lost. But then the game on Katarina, I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but he did like a Roach Hydra push, and he ended up with like 190 against 90 supply, and then he lost the game.
Yeah, actually, I remember this game. Yeah, I saw the 6 pull, and it was it was on merry-go-round, and because he could stack his probes, basically, it was the easiest defense ever. Like it wasn't even. It looked kind of close. Yeah. Okay.
No. Okay. Here's this thing. Here's this thing, right?
Oh no.
No.
Shut the fuck up.
Here's this thing. So every mineral patch is different, and some of the maps have a hole where there's 1 mineral patch, 1 mineral patch, and 1 mineral patch, and there's a hole for your probes. And I kept telling HuK, I'm more inclined to do a Nexus first and then into a gate expand when there's a hole because I can micro my probes. And he was like, the situation hasn't happened to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if it's a real thing. And then you have stats beating Sulky, proving my point.
That was different.
No. desRow, first of all, I don't know why the fuck I brought this up. Second of all, I didn't know what it was. I just said it hasn't been really that applicable for me to like base a strategy on that fact. And third of all, he went gate first, not Nexus first.
Okay.
So he should have defended anyways.
Okay.
So shut the fuck up. Anyways.
So he even killed the gateway, like it was just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though the gateway died, he won. It was like a complete builder to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second game was just.
Yeah,
terrible.
The second game was fucking the weirdest shit ever. I think Catalina is like a decent thing for Roach Hydra, but I would say Sulky definitely threw more than stats, like outplayed him. It was a very questionable series.
Okay. And you go on, uThermal.
Okay, Sulky against Byung was a really good series. Like, the games were so exciting. Like, even on Nimbus, it was like typical Byung game. Like, he was just dropping everywhere, and Sulky had like maybe the best muter control I've seen against Terran. It was like a really good game. Like, if there's a way to watch these VODs, I'm not sure with Gong, then you should definitely watch those.
Yeah,
it's really
everyone
good.
should go check out Nimbus game. It was really good. Like, it was kind of a comeback, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. He was behind the whole game, and he ended up doing a lot of drops and just coming back with relentless aggression because it was cross map. He was sending stuff at the bottoms, sending stuff to the right, and Byung reminds me of like 2012-13 Gummio. You know, like when Gummio used to be sick and do like a lot of multitasking.
I think it's just because he's an interesting player, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same. Like, Gummio takes like a lot of risks. Like, I remember he played against Protoss in some IEM qualifier. It was a long time ago. It was a foreign Protoss, I don't remember who, and he did like the shittiest builds. Like, he did like one base Marauder, concussive shell expands, and then he got behind and he won because his mechanics were so good. But like, his builds are so risky, and Byung is not as risky, but more like he plays different, but it's solid. I think that's where they're different.
So the game on Nimbus with Stats and Byung, he goes into gas a lot faster and then gets double armory and goes Thors with his bio. I don't know if we want to talk about this now, but I thought it was pretty sick. And he started making Thors against Phoenix Colossus.
Have you seen it, uThermal?
No, actually I didn't catch the first series.
Oh.
So I missed the...
Did
he win double armor?
Yeah, did he win with the Thors versus Phoenix?
That's the only game he won, yeah.
You think it's a legit build?
I have no idea.
I think it's definitely a counter to Phoenix Colossus because they'll auto target the Phoenixes.
Oh yeah.
So that's like the biggest change.
Really meta thing in Korea because everyone seems to be going Phoenix Colossus. So I don't know what it would do against standard. But obviously he scouts it. So.
Well, the only game I watched was like Byung against Caliber, and the only thing I got from the game, like, he had an engagement and like his entire army got stormed and he still won the battle. So what I got from that is that's just like, it's almost impossible to win the battle as Protoss. At least it looked like that from the game, but that's all I can say about it.
Okay.
And recorded.
Recorded what?
Impossible to win that battle as Protoss.
Yeah. So the other groups, Rain, Zest, Rogue, Hurricane. It's a shame for Rogue because we thought he was gonna make it, being one of the really good Zergs. And then Group F, the sad story is Stork. I think Stork for the Korean fans is like they all want to get behind him, but then sometimes he fails to deliver, which is a little bit sad for him and for his fans. I'm usually a big Stork fan, and he's actually one of the only Kespa players to stream. And he had 2,000 viewers the other day, so that was cool for him. Any final thoughts on these groups? Actually, let's talk about Group G and Group H. True TI Deer parting. Any upsets you guys think will happen? It's a stack group, actually.
There's no upsets in these last two groups.
Yeah.
No?
Exactly.
Well, I mean...
only if Avenge makes it through.
So who do you think's making... I think, like, G, it'll be TY and parting.
Yeah. It's too close to call. I think the worst of the group is Deer. But he's been doing really well versus Zerg. but he's stuck with a Terran, Protoss, and a Zerg. So, but Group H, you say there's no upset, but Avenge and Dark.
Avenge.
Yeah.
Well, Dark isn't really an upset. Like,
no.
Dark has even in the last season, he like completely destroyed Mario in a macro game. Like, Dark is actually legitimately good, really good.
And SKT1 use him like
over Fantasy, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Oh, come on.
Well, rip
I mean,
Fantasy.
No, he's like a teamer for SKT1. So.
Yeah. Didn't he used to be on Slayer? Oh yeah, he used to be on Slayers, man.
Yeah, was it Boxer brought him onto SKT1 because he saw a promise in him or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
So he's obviously stayed on.
He survived the Jessica era. Not many people can say they did that. So yeah, anything you guys want to talk about GSL before we wrap GSL?
How can you say that? Everybody from Slayers can say they survived the Jessica era.
No.
I'm pretty sure no one didn't make it out
Remember
from
that
situation.
puzzle, KT puzzle, RIP.
No, I guess. And Coca.
Yeah, Coca, man. He was so good. You used to play him all the time on your stream. I thought he was going to be like the next like Dongwei Gu.
He was legitimately good.
Do you think when he had that scandal about giving a game to Beyond that really like killed him?
Yeah.
Like, killed his practice and everything?
He was
pretty sure.
I think he was just more out. He was a very naturally talented player, and his work ethic was never really that strong. And he played like a decent amount of LoL and stuff. And then he came from like I don't know, maybe I'm just too judgmental, but he came from like a wealthy family and everything. So like, if he fucks up and he sucks, like who gives a shit? Like he just goes back to his rich family and it's cool. Where like if you have like a fucking thirsty player that's like throwing away his education to go pro gaming, he's gonna be a little bit more dedicated, I think.
Thirsty player.
Yep.
I mean, he probably never did the dishes until he got to the house, so. No?
You and the fucking dishes. Just move on.
But it's true though, it has to suck. Like you're last in the house and you're stuck doing the dishes.
So group H, be quiet, desRow.
Okay.
I think Flash isn't gonna get through.
Yeah?
Oh really?
He's not gonna get through?
Yeah, he's gonna disappoint.
Man, we were hyping Flash and now you're putting him down. What happened?
But Feedme is always ready because he's been hyping Flash for like months now and he always disappoints him and I always see the tweets after. And he's like fucking standard disappointed by Flash. So.
Yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up for Flash.
Tired of getting your heart broken?
Oh, he's gonna not do it, man.
Okay.
And he's gonna get destroyed in Toronto as well.
No, come on. Actually, it was a shame last time he came for IEM New York, and he lost to. He dropped the map to State, and he bumped out early. Not that losing.
He didn't come back either. He was just like, "Fuck this town."
Oh yeah, he never came back to the venue. Rip. So guys, if you have questions at the end of the show, I don't know how much time we'll have. We'll be taking your questions on Twitter. The hashtag is SC2Remax. Any questions you have for uThermal, HuK, Feedme, or myself, if it's strategy questions, if it's questions about tournaments, if it's questions about future shows or stuff we can do, stuff like that, feel free to ask. Hashtag SC2Remax. You can include us in your tweet. And so yeah, we'll take our first break. When we come back, there's going to be more talk about strategies, Redbull, and the WCS point system, and we'll also take a look at WCS EU. So guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in 3 minutes.
Okay, can I?
Let's go.